It's a question many have tried to answer. Most have failed. How do you stop the Boston Celtics? There's a theory floating around, and we'll talk about it right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Yup. Beantown, be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Back to back, if I say it, it's stamped. Locked on number 19, the best one, the next one. Juice loose in your pool now for the next run. It's the C's, who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT Karalis, recap the madness every game, every practice. Best daily pod, no cap like Brad Beckett. Clutch like Drew to KP, tap in daily. Primetime Deb and D White on the sideline. Rain and Jayson, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day, and I got you covered every Monday through Friday. Bonus podcast when they play in the weekend. They play on Saturday night, so I will be podcasting after that, as well as after the Thursday night game out, 5 days a week plus more. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcast. Watch the show on YouTube. Get into that comment section. Let me know what you're thinking about what I'm talking about whatever with the Celtics. Just hop in there and fire away. I'm John Karalis, by the way, if you're new to the show. I am a beat writer. I've been covering the Celtics for about 20 years. I'm doing it for Boston Sports Journal. I've also written a book, Built Different. I think this is basically the last day to get your orders in to make sure that regular shipping is going to get this book to you in time. But you can go to johnkaralis.com, click on the store, and order this book, personalized, signed, and sent to your house in the United States for $30. Makes a great holiday gift. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Today, we're trying to figure out, how do you stop the Boston Celtics? I know you cannot stop Tom Westerholm. No matter what you try, it's not happening.
No.
So that's why I see.
Yeah, we're just keep showing up. You can't stop me.
I cannot stop him, and that's what I meant. I cannot stop Tom from showing. I was on here doing this show by myself, and Tom just shows up, boom.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, I'm podcasting with you." And I said no, and he just says, "Tough."
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
I backed down, and I like, fine. A couple of the people who watch and listen to the podcast seem to tolerate you, so you're on the show. Here we are. How you doing, by the way?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm happy holidays. Getting down to it. All that.
Getting there. Okay. Thanks. Happy holidays.
Yeah.
All right, great. Okay. Formalities out of the way. Just check off the list. Okay. Now talk basketball. Okay. Next on the list, talk basketball. Hey, Matt Moore wrote up a thing on his Substack now. Talking about the Boston Celtics. And the overall question is a question that the whole league is trying to figure out. How do you stop the Boston Celtics? Because when they are at their best, they are an absolute machine. The kids call it a wagon. They are, I would say, at their absolute best, they are unstoppable. Who do you stop? How do you prevent Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis? That starting five, when it's clicking, what do you do? And it's just a question that I got on one of the mailbag episodes. You get a high pick and roll, with Kristaps Porzingis and Jayson Tatum. Stop it. I'm like, no, you can't. Okay. Yeah. You sit there and please, I've been good. Please have Jayson Tatum miss or have him throw the lob out of bounds or something. Like, that's basically it. When they're on point, they are unstoppable. So before we get to the nitty gritty here, because you have to figure out something, is there anything, have you come up with anything where you're like is I don't know, how do I phrase this question? Like, this Celtics team is one of the most complete offensive teams that we've seen in Celtics history.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, if you start talking about Celtics history, obviously you start talking about teams like the 1986 team. And I think there's obviously very different styles of play. It's, 1986 versus
phrasing most complete offensive team is important here.
Yeah.
It's doing a lot of work.
For sure. But I also think that, like, when you look at one of the things that made that team what it was, right? Like those 80s teams, the ball movement was wild, right? Like it was so good. And like there were so many guys who could pass. And especially on that team, you start having like Walton come in and like, there's another guy who can just kind of whip it around. And like this Celtics team, I think one of the things that we've seen is like, one of the things Matt wrote in his really good post, I thought, was like that we're kind of seeing the crest of the Celtics right now. Like this is as good as it gets.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just, and part of the reason that this is as good as it gets is because the Celtics have a bunch of guys who are all bought in on just like, hey, we're going to win, right? It is winning time. And I'm just going to, whatever needs to be done, I'm going to do it. Whether that means I'm coming off the bench, whether that means I'm, I wish I was getting 40 shots a game, but I'm not. I'm in, you know what I mean? Like instead I'm getting, like 17 shots a game. Everybody's on board. Everybody's cool with it. And everybody's kind of locked into their roles. And I mean, we've talked about this before. Part of that is because everybody's paid, right? Like everybody's making money, everybody's happy, everybody's, there's no like nobody's gunning for their new contract, really, at least not in the not in the rotation. But I think that's a big part of this, right? Is that like you talk about like when this team is clicking, you can't beat them. Well, part of the reason they're clicking is because everybody is just like, I'm just gonna play the right way, tonight. Oh, you need me to, Drew Holiday, right? It's like you need me to stand in the quarter, and largely my role is to shoot threes and to defend the heck out of people. Yeah, sure, can do. Kristaps Porzingis, like, you're not, you're the third number 3 option on like at best, right? Like, no problem. I'll be that. No problem. Like I'm good with that. Like that's a level of buy-in that is pretty rare. Like we talk all the time about the Celtics talent level, and it's obscene. But like the buy-in too, it's like those two things are really, I think, the crux of this.
It's funny because Nick Angstead, host of Locked On Mavs, sent me a text yesterday. It was like, what makes the Celtics offense so good? In fact, I can read you the response because it's a lot of what you just said. The whole point was that there's buy-in from everybody. I said, I think it's a full commitment by everyone. Like last year, I'm not sure that they all fully understood. And I think there was a little resistance on drives. They would still take a lot of contested layups. This year, they're skewing the opposite way, where they'll pass out of anything that's remotely contested. Sometimes even what look like ultimately open layups in order to generate those corner 3-pointers. So I sent this text yesterday. It's the same thing that you're saying. Yeah. It's the commitment to the overall number, the overall, we have to have more points than the other team. And what Joe Mazzulla has done is he's done all the math, and math might be the word of the season, or at least especially the word of Joe Mazzulla's career. Like math defines a lot of what the Celtics do. And I know that people are like listening and going, oh, math. This is basketball. I don't want to go to math class. The math is our points minus your points should equal a positive number.
Yeah.
And that's what the Celtics are doing. I'm sorry that Joe Mazzulla has cracked this code, but the last year was proving the concept that they could play Joe Mazzulla's way, that they could win a championship that way, that doing it the way they did it before didn't work. And now this year, there's just no denying it. Everything Joe Mazzulla said last season was basically right. And everything the Celtics did before that, not everything, but there were a lot of question marks in how the Celtics did things, wanted to do things, how they wanted winning to look. So now this year, we've seen the Celtics pass out of a ton of what appear to be open layups. And it drives people nuts. But it's anytime you think, oh, this guy's coming over to contest, that means he's not looking at the person he's supposed to be looking at. And that means that person is wide open. And I'm not as open as it may seem. Even if sometimes that person who's making that decision, mostly right, but sometimes incorrect. But because the open player on the corner is so dangerous. You live with, he could have taken that layup. And in the moment, we're like, you should have taken that layup. But I'll in retrospect say, I'll pass up however many of those per season, maybe like one every other game is what it amounts to make sure that the Celtics are following the plan. And when they follow that plan, it is just impossible to beat. But I have thought about, and I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before, a way to use that against the Celtics, and maybe this plays into what Matt is saying. So we'll talk about that when I come back. Or when we come back. I'm not going to leave Tom alone. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. It's the place to go to get your tickets. Game Time is focused on togetherness this holiday season. That means when you bring people together at live events, the experience is that much better. And hey, it's a pretty great gift. So go to Game Time, use the Game Time Picks feature. It filters out the fluff so you can get only incredible deals on great seats. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. You don't want to be scrolling forever. The curated picks makes it easier to get the tickets you want, saving money, sports, concerts, comedy, theater, it's all there. Toggle the all-in pricing feature. You get that total upfront, no surprise fees at checkout. Seat views are there on the app before you buy, so you can see what you're going to see, and they've got the lowest price guarantee. If you find those tickets somewhere else, you will get credited 110% of the difference. You're getting the lowest price no matter what. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Today's show is also brought to you by Rocket Money. Rocket Money can help you find subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice. Very easy to get caught up in this. I've been caught up on this myself, where you forget what you have. You haven't been watching a streaming service. You're still paying for it. Rocket Money makes it easy to track it all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscription, spending habits, goals that you want to hit. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. One of the best features is the subscription tracker. You can cancel services that you're not using anymore and save a ton. Plus, with their goals feature, you're able to automatically set aside money for the future. No more stressing about budgeting every month. So cancel your unwanted subscriptions. Reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go subscribe to the Locked On Daily newsletter. It's delivered directly to your inbox Monday through Friday. Celtics, NBA, and fantasy coverage for free. Go to LockedOnDaily.com. LockedOnDaily.com. Subscribe to the Locked On Celtics newsletter. Open it up when it hits your mailbox. Read it. You get a lot of great stuff there. There are links to some great content around the internet. So go check that out on LockedOnDaily.com. Tom Westerholm. There we go. So as we search for, and Matt Moore search for, it's a hardwood paroxysm Substack. He's on Twitter at HP Basketball. So go check him out there. My thought is you got to lean into what they're doing. It's a concept that's very martial arts. It's very, combat fighting. You don't back away necessarily. You go towards the threat. So the Celtics want to drive and kick. Let them go towards the drive and kick. And it's just a matter of, you cannot help and recover. As Matt said, you cannot do the same thing that you always do in defending the Celtics. And in the regular season, it's hard for teams to have a completely different rotation, different pattern. So it's not going to be like things are going to change materially through the regular season. But in a playoff series, I would say you force a player to the side that you want him to go to, right? He doesn't matter right or left. You force him to go a certain direction, and you basically pass him off. You can call it a veer, it's a late switch, whatever. You push him in a certain direction. You kind of very obviously help from that direction. And the guy that was guarding the ball handler just goes down to the corner. And you're not going to get a steal, but you want to get there in time to stop the shot. And then from there, you can either have the guy who helped, dive out to the swing, and somebody down low kind of pick up the initial driver. It's a completely different style of rotation, but you're going to have to do something completely different. I think the best way to defend the Celtics is to come up with something like that, where sure, let them drive. Like I said, I think I've said this before. It's almost like a screen pass in football. You're like, oh, I'm blocking you. Oh no, you got by me. Oh, that's not what I wanted you to do. Yes, it is. Psych. And then the crazy rotations after that it's the only way to. I think what the ultimate result of that would be is isolation basketball, and it's the best thing that you can hope for with the Celtics. Which is crazy to say with Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, but the best way to stop the Celtics is to try to get Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown to do everything and not let Drew, Derek, Kristaps, Al, all those other guys do the stuff that really kills you.
Yeah, and that was kind of one of the points of that piece was like, okay, so the Celtics, when they, some of these drive and kick options, right? It's like you kick out to Derek White, and it's like that's a 1.4 points per possession shot, like that catch and shoot three. It's like
insane.
The math, and it's just that if you're the other team, right, that the math doesn't work for you. Like you mentioned math, and it's like, yeah, you can't keep up with a team that is, consistently generating 1.4, especially when it's like, the rest of their shots are like 1.19. It's not like they're like, okay, we're getting some 1.4 shots and we're getting some, 0.8 points per possession shots. It's like, no, it's like, they're generating a ton of just awesome high percentile shots. And like, yeah, you can't survive that mathematically. And the interesting thing that, Matt kind of points out is like, well, the drives are significantly lower. Right. And look, there's some of that is like, okay, the Celtics are not every shot. The drives are going to, if the drives get easier, if you don't help, then those numbers are going to go up, right? Like the scoring numbers on the drives are going to go up. If you kind of leave somebody on an island guarding Jayson Tatum is going to score more at the rim. But is Jayson Tatum scoring more at the rim a trade-off that you're willing, the possibility of that, is that something that you're willing to potentially trade off to prevent Derek White from being that 1.4 outlet? Yeah. And it's like, yeah, you might have to. It's kind of a cousin of saying, you know what, heck with it, Drew Holiday, shoot threes, right? It's kind of like similar to that. Like, okay, we're going to have to give something. We're going to have to, this team has a million weapons, and they're going to hurt us with a couple of them. So we got to choose the ones that we're the least scared of, even if we're scared of all of them. And I think there really is something to that. Like, you can't let the Celtics continue to play their style of basketball, because I don't think that you can win. You kind of go up and down the league. It's like, I don't know that there's a team where if the Celtics are playing the way they want to play, I don't think there's a team out there that can beat them 4 times out of 7. So like, you gotta, come up with some other options here.
The other options, like it's not even pick your poison, it's more than that somehow, because, the whole concept of pick your poison is something's going to hurt you. But this is like pick what's worse than poison. It's, are you going to live with isolations? Are you going to live with Jayson and Jaylen doing what they do? And then, okay, so maybe you just stagger them a little bit more, or maybe you use them as screeners for one another. And you're like, yeah, okay, You know, like if you're not going to like, or if you are going to switch, if you are going to or you're not going to switch, like I don't know how you're going to defend it. Like, how do you make it so you just live with the Tatum drives? Let's say, are you just going to do drop coverage and just say extreme drop coverage, like the small goes with the big? Like, then they will find a way. You have to do something on the pick and roll.
Yeah.
You can't just give Tatum wide open lane. You have to challenge him somehow, because then he'll just come down and he'll just score 80 points, and that's not going to help you.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and I think there is some element of it, right, where it's like part of what the Celtics do is misdirection, or not even misdirection, but sort of, right, where it's like if Tatum drives and things collapse, then there's just such an automatic, like next move. There's an automatic next thing that happens. And I think you either like call them on their bluff, right? Okay, like I think part of the idea is like you call them on their bluff. Like, okay, Tatum, you're going to drive. Okay, I'm just going to defend you as best I can, and but I'm on an island here. That's one thing. And then I think the other thing is kind of what you're talking about, where it's like you have to find a way to disrupt that, like that automatic, because everything's just click, 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 and it can't be that if you want to beat them. Like you can't that pass can't be so easy and automatic and just first nature.
I feel like Tatum and Brown are too mature to let this work.
It's
I feel like
a real conundrum.
I feel like this is something that makes sense 2 years ago, but I want to explore this. I want to explore. Let's use the Cavs. Let's use the obvious matchup, the Darius Garland matchup, and let's play through some scenarios, because I think Tatum and Brown they have grown past the stuff that we're talking about. We'll talk about that in a second. Today's show brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle that NFL action, get into the NBA action if you haven't already. Over at FanDuel, it's America's #1 sports book. Bet $5, new customer, and you can get $150 in bonus bets if that bet wins. So I don't know. Maybe I'm looking. We're doing this during the NBA Cup final. Sorry, I'm not paying that close of attention to it, but it's a tight one. You could have put some money on this one. Maybe, whatever. If it wins, you get 150 in bonus bets. Maybe you want to put $5 on the Celtics against the Chicago Bulls, which seems like a pretty safe bet. So go ahead and give that a shot. I don't know. They'll give you anything that you want here to place your live bets. It's all in one place. If you get a hunch, you can check the stats, play-by-play, and all that and more when you on the same page where you place your bets. It's at FanDuel.com. Sign up and place your first $5 bet today. Make sure you're using the tools so you can gamble responsibly. Set your limits, set your budget. Don't go overboard. And if you hit that $5 bet, you can have some fun with 150 in bonus bets. Sign up at FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more at FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Today's show also sponsored by Built Rewards. If you're a renter, listen up. This is a total game changer. Thanks to Built, you can now earn points on rent payments just like you do with groceries or travel. Paying rent now comes with serious perks, and it's completely free to join. Earn valuable Built points on your rent and everyday spending at no extra cost. Redeem points for flights, hotel stays, and even future rent payments with over 500 airlines and 700,000 hotels in their program. I didn't even know that there were that many hotels in the world. The possibilities are endless. Access unique experiences that are exclusive to Built members. Okay. I wish I had Built when I was a renter. I would have racked up a whole lot of points. It would be very easy to turn that into rewards. If you're already paying rent, just why not make it work for you? Start earning points on rent you're already paying by going to joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNBA. That's joinbuilt, B-I-L-T, joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNBA. Make sure you use our link so they know we sent you. Don't wait. Start earning rewards today. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA. Locked On NBA Game Time is going to break down this Emirates NBA Cup Championship game. And then the guys in the afternoon in their debate style show are going to talk about the biggest storylines coming out of it. So 2 podcasts on the Locked On NBA feed and also on the Locked On NBA YouTube page. Go check it out. I'm normally there on Fridays. Couple weeks off for me because the Celtics are playing on Thursday nights. So, but I will be back there on Fridays with Jake Madison. All right, let's get back to this conversation with Tom Westerholm. Okay, we'll pose the hypothetical here. Celtics and the Cavs, because this is a thing that could very easily happen. We saw it at the end of the last game where the Cavs were making their comeback and they threw Darius Garland. They said, you're going to get the switch onto Jayson Tatum. And, I'm not going to say he did well, but he held his own a little bit better at the end. Okay, fine. Nice. What if they just said, you know what? Forget the switch. We're not even going to pretend. Darius Garland, you get Jayson Tatum to start. Okay, so let's talk this through. Tatum's going to be like, oh, damn. Meat. Let's go. And if it's going well, but the Celtics, it's a tight game, then I wonder if Joe says, let's just keep it going. Today they want to do this. Let's just have Tatum score 70. But what if they continue to hunt switches and say, we're going to let everybody feast on Garland? You know what? We're still going to call Porzingis up to set the pick. And you want, okay, then go ahead. Garland is going to have to guard Porzingis, and we're going to get post-ups. Isn't that going to naturally draw somebody's attention? Because they could sit there and say, are you going to tell your team never switch anything? Just Darius Garland gets just completely destroyed, and whatever happens. Do not help him ever at all. Is that going to be the strategy?
Well, okay, so it's an interesting one, right? It's like you could try it. I don't know. You could try it. Like, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. The thing is, like, the one problem with that, right, is like beyond all the obvious problems, the one extra problem with that is that then Darius Garland is getting demolished on the defensive end. What does he give you on the offensive end then? Like at that point, is there any point in even, playing Darius Garland, which, that's a tough spot to be in. So, I mean, I think that's one major problem with it. Maybe you could help Garland's confidence by telling him, like, yeah, we understand, do your best. Don't worry about it. Like, don't let it get to your head, yada, yada. Maybe he's mentally tough enough to, deal with that. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I guess kind of, again, I think I keep going back to the Drew Holiday example with Memphis, where it's like, I just think I'm not opposed to that idea, because I do think that you're going to have to try something. Because I don't think even the Cavaliers, I just think that I don't really see, if you just play the Celtics straight up, if you just try to play your game, let the Celtics play their game, I don't think you win 4 out of 7. So, like, yeah, I mean, maybe it's something where you steal a game that way, right? Maybe, like we were talking about the other day, maybe it's something where you try something very unorthodox one game and something very unorthodox another game, and just try to do things that are weird and weird the series up to the point that you steal a couple games here, Donovan Mitchell wins you a game here, and all of a sudden you're in a game 7 and anything can happen, right? Like, maybe, I don't know. That's the best case I can make for it.
Yeah, I mean, trying to draw Tatum and Brown into the isolation is like I said before, it is the best of the bad options. But I just feel like Tatum they will find a way. Like I feel like they're still going to try to draw, you can have Porzingis set screens, and so you can draw the big away from the rim. You can do like action behind it. You're going to draw the natural human reaction out of defenders regardless. Like, they're not going to sit there and watch their teammate get pummeled over and over again.
Yeah.
Evan Mobley is going to be like, damn it, I gotta block one of these shots.
Yeah.
We can't do this, because on the other side, you've got to be like, you got to be putting up a ton of threes. And I don't think that the Celtics are going to stop shooting 3-pointers just because, like, if Darius Garland's going to take the switch and be the guy, then just everybody's going to take those 3-pointers. And you set the pick way up high and you just do the same thing. I think you just hammer him with the same idea. You force him to fight through it. You're going to have to force a switch somewhere.
Yeah.
Set 2 picks, stagger screens. I would set 4 picks if I had to, just to make them make a decision. And like when the other team is doing something that they have not done, they can't do it perfectly. They're not going to execute it perfectly. If you come into a playoff series and you say, okay, we're going to scrap our defense, just like I said before, it's going to come with mistakes because you have 82 games of muscle memory that says, I see this, I go here. And so I would challenge that. I would hit, even if you have Garland at first, I would do everything I could to get off of Garland and then try to get back to Garland. Just so they can be like, wait, no, we're not helping this time. And like at that point, now you've drawn 2. Boom. Now Jaylen has the ball. Now you've got your dividend. You know what I'm saying?
You created the same thing that you wanted to create in the first place.
That's right. That's right. So I would find it, get off of the matchup that you want so you can find the matchup that you want again and let them screw it up. Like that's the best way I could put it.
Yeah. I mean, and look, I mean, even simpler than that, right? It's like we've seen the Celtics beat the heck out of a matchup and win 4 games out of it, right? Like RIP Luka, right? Like that was they did it. Like they can do it. They've done it in the past, and sure, there's some like helping there and everything else, and like, but yeah, I think you're right. I think you know you talk about these kind of more not gimmicky, but you know what I mean, like sort of like let's try something out here. The problem with trying something out is that you presumably haven't done it before, and that gets very difficult when the postseason rolls around.
How about Jayson, go stand by the hash mark. Just stand there for a possession. Just take the play off and just take Darius Garland with you. And now you're playing 4-on-4 and you give them like your pick and roll and whatever. And you're like, oh, you attack Donovan Mitchell. Let's attack Donovan Mitchell. So, there we go. Lost Tom for a second. But there you are. Anyway, the whole point of this, as we wrap this up, is like the exercise from Matt Moore is good, very detailed, very thorough, and the end result is try something completely different and hope. And the end is just a hope for the best.
I think that's the most remarkable thing about. I posted this on Blue Sky. I think the most remarkable thing about this Celtics team is that sometimes the analysis of how do you beat this team is just like, I don't know, hope that they miss layups. Like that's a tough situation if you're not on the Boston Celtics.
It is the most complete, the most disciplined Celtics team we've seen in a long, long time. Other teams have better, maybe other teams, you can say other teams might be, but this year's team's different. It's just different. And we haven't even seen them at their best. This year's team.
Really seen them trying on defense with a couple of exceptions.
No, we haven't. Like Porzingis is coming back, like he's back and then he's not, and there's a long layoff. It's weird. And then, a little heel thing. I'll wrap it up by saying like this. It's December 17th that we're recording this. The Celtics haven't played their best, and they are completely unstoppable. If even at this, they're like basically unstoppable, and they have room to improve, which is great because you don't want to be peaking right now. So I don't know. Good luck. Good luck. And they'll need the luck, the injury luck, and all that stuff. But like, if they can keep this discipline, forget it. All right, Tom. Appreciate you as always. Thank you for stopping by.
Appreciate you, man.
And I appreciate you, the listener, the watcher, everybody out there still with me here on the Locked On Celtics podcast. I know it's a little slow with all of this crazy NBA Cup time off, but we're still here. We're still podcasting. I think they're interesting topics. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcast. Watch the show on YouTube, get into that comment section, and then share the podcast. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching The Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.